Now let us learn another important concept, that is SIPOC. A SIPOC, sometimes also known as COPIS, is a tool that summarizes the inputs and outputs of one or more processes in a table form. The acronym SIPOC stands for Suppliers, Inputs, Process, Outputs, and Customers. A SIPOC diagram is a tool used by a team to identify all relevant elements of a process improvement project before the work begins. It helps define a complex project that may not be well scoped. Now, let us learn something about hidden process in SIPOC. We have studied the concept of a hidden factory in the overview phase of the course. This is similar to that. The goal of any process which is designed is to do it right the first time and every time. However, in real life, there is some amount of errors and repair or rework which happens in the process due to some weak links. Due to these weak links, it creates a non-value added or a hidden process. Any process step described and starting with re is potentially a non-value added step, and any reprocess can be termed as the biggest evil. This means the activity is not being done right the first time and every time, and is a potential source of cost of poor quality. Remember that the primary goal of Six Sigma or any process improvement initiative is to destroy the hidden factory by removing the non-value added activities. Benefits of SIPOC. Number 1. It identifies all elements of a process improvement project before work begins. And number 2, it helps define and refine a complex project that might not be well scoped. It helps answer questions such as, where does the process start and end? What are the major steps in the process? What are the primary process inputs and outputs? Who are the key customers of the process, both internal and external? Who are the key suppliers of the process, both internal and external? What are the requirements of the customers? On the next screen, we will explain SIPOC through a box diagram, a general format used to build a SIPOC chart. Defining SIPOC: supplier, inputs, process, output, and customers. Supplier: the internal or external suppliers of the inputs required for the process. Inputs: the inputs such as materials, forms, information, etc. required for the process to work properly, including any specifications for the inputs. Process: the activities, procedures, steps required to produce the output. Output: what the customer or client wants or needs or has requested, including the specific requirements for each output. It is what the process or the unit produces. Their requirements could include timing and frequency. Customers: the internal or external customers or clients that will receive the outputs of this process. On this and the next two screens, we will learn how to build a high-level SIPOC process map and some questions that need to be asked and answered in order to build a SIPOC process high-level map. Have a look on the general format of a SIPOC high-level process map shown on the screen. Pause the video for some time to learn the same. Then, please continue on the next two screens. The SIPOC exercise starts with identifying who are the customers using the output of this process. The same can be done by asking and answering some important questions. The SIPOC exercise starts with identifying who are the customers using the output of this process. Following questions need to be answered. Number 1. What is the output the customer expects from this process? Number 2. What are the high-level key steps which describes the process? Number 3. What are the key inputs required for the process to kickstart? And number 4. Who provides these inputs? Segmenting customers. So, in developing your SIPOC process map, you need to identify your customers and the outputs that go to them. Possibly, you classify or segment your customers in some way, for example, by size or geographical location. Think carefully about these different customers. Do they actually have different CTQs? Will the process outputs be the same for each segment, or will these vary to some degree? You should ensure that the SIPOC map and the thinking that accompanies it takes appropriate account of your different customer segments. Grouping your customers into segments helps you to see your customers' different requirements. By segmenting them, you can develop the right products and services for each group and create specific measures that help you understand your performance in meeting their differing requirements. To help you segment your customers, list some categories that describe both your current customers and the people or organizations that you consider to be potential customers. You might also look at past customers in this way too. Continuing our learning on segmenting customers. Consider the following segmentation categories in relation to your customers: industry, size, spend, geographical location, end use, product characteristics, buying characteristics, price or cost sensitivity, age, gender, socio-economic factors, frequency of purchase or use, impact or opinion leader, loyalty, and channel. You need to determine the categories that are relevant to your own organization, but this list provides a good starting point. If appropriate, you can also create umbrella customer segments to include, for example, frequency of purchase and spend. Prioritizing your customers. Every customer is important, but some customers use your services more frequently or are more critical to your business than others. You may need to devote more time and resources to these particular customers. You could prioritize by customer segment, but you need to understand how best to prioritize your customers for your organization. For many organizations, the priority may be revenue, but more sensibly it should be profit. As your understanding of your customers increases, you will find it easier to determine your organization's priorities. Truly focusing on customers as opposed to simply saying you are requires real investment in understanding your customers' needs. Your customers may be both internal and external. Thinking in terms of processes helps you identify where you need to focus and highlights who your internal customers are. Researching customer requirements. Researching your customers follows a natural progression. Start with potentially no information about customers and end up with a collection of quantified, prioritized customer needs and expectations. Investigate what information you already have and then determine the gaps in your customer information. For example, if your proposed product or service is a variation on something you have done before, you may have a lot of information in your organization's files. Likewise, if one of your competitors already offers the product or service, you may find some useful industry information. You then need to develop a customer research plan that moves you from where you are right now to where you need or want to be. You close the gaps. Researching customer requirements. Continued. Customer personas are quite common in understanding the basic character sketches designed to help know the customer and his or her needs and motivations. To create one, begin with some solid market research so that you will be basing your persona on facts instead of just making things up. Next, you want to keep the information you gained from market research close at hand and sit down and begin brainstorming about your ideal customers. You can start with the easy stuff like demographic information. Is your customer male or female? How old? What type of job do they have? And how much money do they make? Are they well educated? Where do they live? What is their family structure like? Then start moving on to deeper information about the target customer's personality and motivations. What are their morals and values? What does a typical day look like? What do they do in their free time? What are their habits and likes? By doing the above exercise, you will be able to research the actual requirements and select the target customers accordingly. Researching customer requirements. Continued. Be aware of the following issues while doing the customer research. The customer may offer you a solution rather than express her real needs. Ask the customer, "Why do you want this?" until you truly understand the real need. Different customers may perceive the same product or service differently. For example, a shirt that shows off the designer's logo may command a premium price over a similar article without the logo, but only for some customers. Remember that how your customers say they will use a product or service isn't always the same as how they actually use it. External customers generally express effectiveness needs, that is, needs that relate to the value the customer receives from the product or service. Internal customers, on the other hand, tend to express efficiency needs, that is, needs that relate to the amount of resources allocated or consumed in meeting customers' needs. Customer interviews. Customer interviews are helpful as a research technique. The aims of customer interviews are to understand a specific customer's needs and requirements, values, and point of view on service issues, product or service attributes, and performance indicators or measures. Customer interviews are useful and enable you to explore issues with them during your customer research. Remember the following. At the beginning, to learn what is important to customers, which supports the development of hypotheses about customer values. In the middle, to clarify points or to better understand why a particular issue is important to customers. At the end, to clarify findings, to get ideas and suggestions, or to test ideas with customers. Focus groups are interviews usually involving between 6 to 10 people at the same time in the same group. Typically, they run for 2 to 3 or 4 hours. Focus groups are a powerful means to capture views and opinions, to evaluate services or test new ideas, or to clarify and prioritize customer requirements. Focus groups are used to clarify and define customer needs, to gain insights into the prioritization of needs, to test concepts and receive feedback. As a next step after customer interviews or a preliminary step in the survey process. Very general questions will be asked, such as, what do you find important in service delivery generally? Or what is it that makes you feel you have received good service or bad service? Now, when to use focus group interview technique? Remember to use focus group methodology in the following cases. When you need to make or confirm market segmentation decisions. When a communication gap appears to exist between your company and the market segment. When an insight is needed into customer perceptions of potentially complicated topics where their opinions and attitudes may influence your course of action, perhaps in launching a new product. When a strategy among individuals would be useful in creating ideas, and when a hypothesis needs to be developed in preparation for a broad survey or large-scale study. SIPOC example. I will now explain the SIPOC or the COPIS process in detail, taking the same example of new bank account opening. You may recollect that we had discussed about this when we brushed up on the concept of CTQs in comparison to the drivers and the problem statement in this defined phase itself. The prospective customers here are the retail account holders, the joint account holders, businessmen needing a current account or a trust or individuals, etc. Look at the output column. The output a customer expects when an account is opened are account number, checkbook, ATM card, welcome kit, terms and conditions for usage, charges on the services, etc. Look at the process column. The high-level steps describing the account opening process are application intake, background check and documents verification, application approval, account creation, notification to the customer, and finally the account activation. Look at the input column. The inputs required to initiate the process are the completed application form, photographs, address and identity proof, the PAN, permanent account number, etc. Now look at the suppliers column. They are the individuals opening the account, the joint account holders, the relationship manager who coordinates with the client or customer support, etc. The examples which we have just completed with respect to the bank account opening can be similarly applied to any situation, any industry, or even in your day-to-day personal or work life. What is required here is that you need to first map the process correctly and divide the same into simple and easy steps to get the things in order, like the one in the above example. On the last few screens, you have learnt about the SIPOC methodology. Now, to refresh yourself, look at the SIPOC sketch on the screen for some time. I will continue my explanation soon. The best and a practical way to create your SIPOC diagram is to gather your team around a large sheet of paper and follow these steps. Number 1. List all the different customers involved. Include both internal and external customers. For example, management, who may need reports or information. Consider third parties such as regulatory bodies where relevant. Segment external customers by the different outputs they receive. Number 2. List all the outputs you have to send to your customers. Now you have your list of customers. What is that you need to provide them with? Under the O for output, make a list of the things you send them. Drawing arrows showing who receives what output can be useful. Number 3. Set out the steps in the process. Use sticky notes to construct a high-level picture of the process. Typically, it involves 4 to 8 steps. Don't go beyond 8 steps as you will be dealing with too much detail too soon. Number 4. List all the inputs you receive. Include order forms and information, but also consider equipment or even personnel, depending on whether this is a new or existing process. Number 5. Identify where all your inputs come from. Under the S for supplier, list the sources of all your inputs. Remember that some of your customers will also be your suppliers. Remember, involving the step-by-step procedures of a process in your SIPOC diagram can make you lose your way in the various twists and turns that can occur. As a result, you may not be able to see the non-value added steps. So, spotting unnecessary activities is easier with high-level process documentation tools such as the SIPOC. Remember that the start and stop points are represented with the oval shapes, the process steps with the rectangular boxes, and points in the process involving questions with the diamond shapes. Diamonds are decision points for examples showing the need to do something different if you are dealing with a product A or product B, or where different authority levels might come into the specific operations of the process. After having learned in detail about SIPOC methodology, let's recap its benefits. It provides a helpful checklist identifying who your customers are and the outputs that go with them. It highlights areas where greater clarity is needed, especially in relation to requirements and outputs. It helps to focus on what needs to be measured. For example, how well are you delivering the outputs to your customers, and how well are your suppliers meeting your requirements of them. It provides an opportunity to begin thinking about the various elements involved in your process, whether you have all the information you need, and if segmenting your customers is necessary.